I mean, a wonderful opportunity to look at something completely different, literally blue sky thinking. A lot of people have been speaking about the skyline, the sky cycle. What about the pollution? I mean, if you're over cars and stuff, do a lot of people ask, what about all of the fumes that are coming up? Might not be best placed.
No, I mean, there certainly will be pollution the higher up you go, but I think along the rail network it's slightly less contaminated in terms of the aerial space up there. I think one of the things about being up high is that you will get a unique view of London, much like the photographs I showed from the top of the Battersea Power Station. You won't be quite as high, but you will have a perspective of London that you wouldn't normally get, particularly if you're in a tube under the ground. And there will be opportunities and snapshots of time where it will be quiet up there, probably not much, but it could be. And it could be the opportunity to be cycling to work with maybe the odd bird twittering past and a view of London that you would never otherwise get. So yes, it would be a capacity thing, but also on the weekends you could take your children cycling all around London and get to wherever you wanted to go without any fear of anything going wrong. And I think that, to me, would be also a fantastic way for reinventing the way in which the city works. So
I'd be interested to get some questions actually from the audience on this, because it's quite a different way of looking at things. Certainly in the last few years, a lot of our old disused rail tracks have now opened up. So certainly I know the ones in North London that link for 15 kilometres and more along disused railway tracks, and they're very popular for walking and for cycling. They're beautifully overgrown with lots of trees, so they're quite green. But what do you think about the potential for the sky cycle? Can you raise your hand, please? Okay, I'll take these two here, please, first.
Hello, I'm Julio and I work as a transport planner for JNP. It's a two-part question. One element of it is, I guess, when you look at cycling infrastructure and you look at these big projects, you sort of question whether the investment that will go in will have to be paid off by cyclists having to pay to use the infrastructure. Because you look at the cost compared to Crossrail, but then Crossrail is paid off because people pay to use it. And in Copenhagen, I think they've put in a cycle lane over the river that people have to pay 80 cents to go on every day. And then that sort of changes the dynamics associated with cycling, because as you said, you came into London, your cycle goes free. And the second part of that question is also, you're removing cyclists from the road network, and you say the road network is then going to be for pedestrians and cyclists, when really I think it's kind of counterintuitive. If you remove the cyclists, then all the vehicles all of a sudden will have, the road will just be for them, and then when a cyclist comes off the sky cycle, he's just like in this mess of vehicles that I just don't kind of expect the cyclists to come in, because like cyclists just stay on the cycle lane, the road is for me.
Yeah, the quick answer on that is that if you heard Robin, there's double the amount of commuters journeys that'll be coming into London every day. Yeah? So it's not about taking anyone off the road or street now. It's about where the next, out of that 1.1 extra million commuter journeys, where do they go? So it's about nothing to do with current cycling. It's about the next level of commuters in London and how they can get around London. So it's not about taking anyone off the roads or the streets. It's about adding capacity by use of cycling. Yeah? Yep. So the streets of London and the roads of London all need to improve, and that will continue doing so. But it's about an alternative capacity solution that isn't about digging a hole in the ground, basically. And the first part of your question, in terms of cost, the most undervalued land in London, when you study the map of land value, is against railway line. And if developers have the opportunity to develop land next to railway line, that then creates a conduit to get onto the sky cycle. It's a place for commerce, both getting into the building and when you get onto the sky cycle. So the buildings themselves could act as gateways, but also then ways for developers to make their money and their return. So I do envisage the process of building Sky Cycle to be a laborious and complicated way of getting it paid for and built, but I don't see cyclists having to pay for it to use it. It'll be done with developers.
I mean, this was tried out in the 1960s with the raised roads, which have been taken down in the last 10 years because they failed miserably. And they, in fact, disjointed the way we move around cities. Are you not repeating this, but having the cyclists up there?
Yeah, absolutely. That is one way of looking at it, but it is it is about an arterial capacity. It's not. It is ultimately, it will be a new bit of public realm and hopefully a celebrated piece of public space. But it's about understanding how millions, well, hundreds of thousands of more journeys can be made in an alternative manner to what the investment seems to be going towards for Crossrails 2, 3, 4 and 5.
Okay, we'll have a question from this chap here, please.
You mentioned earlier about challenges around pollution. What about challenges around vibration caused by the rail lines themselves, and also light pollution?
Light pollution from when you're up there, absolutely. I think in terms of the illumination of the structure itself, it would need to be at a very low level, and it would be about illuminating the track surface itself. In terms of the vibration, we've had a few workshops with Network Rail, and the piece of track from Stratford to Liverpool Street, we understood where we could pile and how we could pile, and how we could get across structures and bridges and things. It seems that the distance from the track and the piling system that we've been looking at would preclude, and with base isolation in places, you wouldn't have to do it all the time, sequencing like that, you could get rid of that vibration issue. So I think that quickly showed the way in which it could be constructed, which would essentially be like a tunnel boring machine but above ground, and so you'd be pushing forward and then you're building your piles in advance of then clipping onto them as you push out.